Resilience, focus, discipline, courage. Some of the key ingredients in manifesting your vision into a reality. Join me as we delve into what it takes to make your mark.
Hello, welcome back to the Make Your Mark Talk Show. My name is Vanessa and I'll be your host for this episode. Before we get into it, I'm going to remind you guys to follow us on Instagram at makeyourmark.ca and to log on weekly for updates on our website, www.makeyourmark.ca. Thank you for joining us. We are here today with Jebril Fresh Jalloh. Jalloh. Yes. Jebril Fresh Jalloh.
Correct. Thank you.
He is the CEO and founder of the Get Fresh company. And I just want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
No problem. So, Jebril, let us know the different events that kind of led you up to where you are today.
Yeah, definitely. It all started out when I was young. I was broke. I wanted to have some money to do all the fly things.
Yeah, we all got that story. Yeah.
And I started buying and selling clothes. So I would just sell it out. Well, before I had a car, I would just sell it out of my locker at school. I literally put it on. We had like a uniform school, but I'd put it on underneath the uniform, and then I'd like take the uniform off and wear it in between walking the classes and like kind of like model it. And everybody would be like, "Yo, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, I got it for sale." And then it just
That's a great form of marketing.
turned into that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. So yeah, what else kind of led you to where you are?
Yeah, so that was the beginning of the hustle. From there, I always bought and sold clothes, I bought and sold CDs, DVDs, manufactured my own DVDs. Just kind of was always in that buying and selling spirit. From there, I kept going there, and then I went to Remix Project. It's a great project for youth in Toronto from like marginalized situations. Help you out. There's different programs in there, business program, fashion program. So I signed up with their whole thing is they'll set you up with mentors. I ended up working with these duo girls called Bossy Girls. They're wardrobe stylists. I never wanted to be a stylist, but I was like, the opportunity was there. So I was like, let me try it. I did that for about 6 to 7 months. We did music videos, photo shoots, commercials, short films. Like we've done a bunch of things. And then after I did that internship there, I ended up doing work by myself. Same thing. I've done all types of music videos, photo shoots, all that. From there, I stopped selling clothes at that time. And then from there, I wanted to get back into it. So one of the times when I was doing a video for Belly in Las Vegas years ago, I'd never been to LA, and I heard they have the biggest fashion district in North America. So I left the shoot and I went to LA by myself for the first time. Didn't know anything about it. Went there, met up with a friend that I had over there, and he had a really good connection on these sample hats. I bought a bunch of these sample hats. They had like Supreme, Diamond Supply, like all the brands that were big back then. Some of them are still big now. So I bought about 5,000 hats and I brought them to Toronto in luggage.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm gonna do a pop-up shop. But when I did the pop-up shop, it wasn't called pop-up shops. Like it wasn't really a thing that was happening yet. So in my head, I was like, I'm gonna find a place to rent out and bring a bunch of customers there. So I promoted that for about 3 months. We did that at Spadina in Richmond, the old Goodfoot building, not there anymore, rest in peace. And we brought I'd say we probably brought about 10,000 kids out.
Wow.
Over the course of 3 days. It was crazy. And I remember when we started to set up, it was empty. And I was like, I don't even know how this is gonna do. Like, is it gonna do well? Are people gonna come? Do people care? And literally 20 minutes before we were about to open, there was a lineup with maybe like 400 or 500 kids down the street. Yeah, it was insane. And I've never seen, this is before like the Jordan lineups and like the Supreme lineups. Like, I've never seen this in my life, so it was mind blowing. So that gave me my first taste of retail out of a storefront. So from there, I tried to open a store, like a concept space with a couple of my friends. It didn't work out. We had really bad issues with the landlord. I didn't move to Atlanta, but I went to Atlanta for like a month just to kind of like hang out and clear my head. I got a phone call by a gentleman who owned a store and was like, look, I heard you're opening a store. I don't know where you are with it, but why don't we just work together at this store? That store was called Proper Reserve. I ended up coming back from Atlanta the next day to go and meet with him, and he was like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 racks in the store, and you can do like a little get fresh shop in shop. So that's how that started. That went on for about a year, and then I ended up taking over the whole space and turning the whole store into Get Fresh. Wow.
Did you always know that it was going to be like the Get Fresh store, or was it just kind of something you stumbled into?
It was called something else before. It was called Proper Reserve. But when I was a kid, when I was like 15 years old, I used to literally tell every girl I used to talk to and all my boys, I'm like, I'm gonna have a store one day called Get Fresh. Just watch. And every single person was like, okay, bro. Yeah, right. So it was always like in the back of my head, like that's what I was working towards.
Right. It's one of those things. It's like people think you're crazy until they actually see what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of changed the trajectory of what you were doing.
Yeah, definitely. I was just looking for a way to get on because, you know, Toronto back then isn't really what Toronto is now. So it was really hard to make any moves or really to do anything here. So I was like, for me, I was like, I always wanted a store. So I was able to leverage all those things and turn it into that.
Okay. And you said it wasn't always styling that you wanted to get into.
I never wanted to do styling. I just like, when I went to Remix, they're like, you need to find a set of mentors. And then my boy Addy was like, you should work with these girls to do wardrobe styling. I was like, I don't want to. And he's like my OG. I like listen to him. He's just like, yo, just try it out. So I tried it out and I had a blast. I met a lot of people, learned a lot. It was great. I got to like do a lot of really cool things.
Right.
We did like the TD commercials. We did that Belly and Snoop Dogg video, RT. I got to develop a relationship with a lot of big directors in the city. It was good.
Wow. So I want to get into that a bit more because a lot of people, you know, they have their sights set on one thing, the one thing that they want to do, but they don't realize that there's a journey before you get to that thing. So like how you said, you were going to have a store,
Yes.
but you had to kind of travel into styling and do all that stuff before you had the store. So I want to kind of get into that journey and what you learned in kind of quote unquote going off track and then coming back on track.
Yeah. A lot of it wasn't actually going off track. It was actually on track. I just didn't know at that moment of time. So I was lucky to have boys that were kind of on the same page. They didn't want stores, but they had their own dreams and aspirations, but it kind of all meshed together. So we used to throw events. We'd do an event about every 3 months. We did this event called Guys and Dolls. We worked with Brazen Hussey. There was a female clothing line back in the day. And we did like a live fashion show in the middle of a party. We built a life-size Barbie box and like built a stage. And then the model would enter through here and then like walk through the Barbie blocks. Like we had like the plastic at the front.
That's a great concept.
Thank you. That was like 8 years ago. Like that was like, we were kids. But so we did a lot of events. That was like one of our main things. We've done events with like when Drake first started bubbling on the scene, him and one of my partners, Photo Will, we put together an event for it. The launch of Lost in the Wilderness was a blog that belonged to Photo Will. And I think it was Drake's, either he just got signed or I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was an epic moment in Toronto. It was like when he had the Phantom and he like at the party he pulled out a bottle of Ace of Spades. That was like the first time you ever seen a bottle of Ace of Spades in Toronto. It was a special moment. Special moment. Highlight for sure. But,
it's funny the things that you remember. Yeah.
Yeah. But events, buying and selling, the styling, and just always trying to put myself in spaces where I could work. That's definitely what brought me to where I'm at today.
Right. And those spaces, were they always comfortable for you?
Yes. I'm the type of person when I go in a space, I'm going to make sure that I'm comfortable. I'm going to like...
You make sure that you have the utmost control.
Yes. I'm going to plant my position 1,000%. So yeah.
Was there a time on the journey where you did not feel in control? And how did you gain control?
Where I didn't feel like I had control. I mean, I'm the type of person where I know my position. So wherever I'm at, it's like I'm going to be in control of my position. So I never felt like I didn't have control. Maybe I didn't have control over the whole, like over everything, but I definitely had control of what I had to do because I made sure I was the best at what I had to do.
Right. So it's like one thing that I always kind of keep in mind is you have control over how you prepare for a situation and how you react to that situation. So that's kind of the position that you put up. You make sure that you're prepared for something, but even if it doesn't go the way you want, then you know how to react. You have your way of reacting.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
And that has, in some ways, that's kind of built up a bit of a resilience in you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been told no for a very long time in my life. You know, my mom always told me, she'd come home after a long day when she was looking for a job, and she'd be like, you know, you just knock on the door, and you knock on the door, and you knock on the door, and they shut the door in your face, but you just got to keep going because every no brings you closer to a yes. That was like something my mom told me when I was like 6.
Wow.
So I kind of always kept that mentality.
Because those no's, and she's very right, the no's kind of do take you into the right direction. Because a lot of what I hear is, you know, even though you don't know exactly where you're going to go, if you have the opportunity to say no to something you don't want, or no to something that's not for you, even the saying no is putting you in the right direction towards something that you do want. So that's
tough place to get to. To say no.
Yeah,
I feel
very
like when
tough.
you come from like not having anything at all, not having anything to say yes or no to, you kind of just like,
yeah, you kind of just take whatever comes your way.
Yeah, I'll take
it. Wow. So I'm sure with the styling and with what you do, it allows you to open your mind and travel. So how have those travels, what have you learned through seeing the world through your eyes, but seeing a different world other than Toronto, other than Ontario?
The first thing that let me know, I'd say I've been traveling, this is the 10th year that I've been on a plane, is that Toronto is a very special and amazing city. We're a very young city, and we're about to blossom to something phenomenal, better than any other city in the world.
Wow.
But going back from that, it showed me what our city was missing. It showed me the other opportunities that are out there for especially people who look like me. It just taught me different lifestyles, different food, different types of fun, like different energy. Like like traveling is like, to me, the best thing you get is energy. And you just take that energy from that city and bring it back to yours.
Right. And I'm glad that you said that Toronto is still a young city, still growing, still so much opportunity, because a lot of the people I speak to, and even me myself, I'm like, man, Toronto's like, what is that? Like, Toronto is nothing. Like, I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we kind of take our home for granted, right? So is that kind of why you chose to stay here?
Honestly, about 8 years ago, I was on set with our director RT, and we were in this room. We were in the green room, and I think it was lunch break. We were just hanging out, talking, and I was like, "Yo, why do you stay here? Like, why do you stay in this city? Like, why don't you go to LA? Why don't you go to New York? Why don't you go to, like, you know, one of these massive film cities?" And he was like, "You know what? If I leave, what happens to this camera guy, this lighting guy, this gaffer, the makeup artist, the wardrobe stylist, the catering service? What happens to all these things? If everyone from this city who has talent and finds some success and work here just gets up and leaves all the time, what happens to everyone else? We never build an industry." So that kind of something that always stuck with me. I'm just like, I got to stay here because I want to be able to build this. I want to be able to build some type of structure in this city to have for younger people coming up and people my age or older.
Right. So that it's able to sustain.
Correct.
Because if people do keep leaving, then that younger generation is going to have to build something out of nothing.
You're starting all over again. And that's like one of the biggest problems in Toronto, where it's like, oh yeah, remember 10 years ago there was that like so-and-so and they built this up and it was crazy, but then they made a lot of money and then they left. You know what I mean? It's like, it becomes like this consistent thing. So it's like, now for someone else to get on, they could never work at that place and learn from that place and develop and aspire to have something for themselves. It's like, we're always starting at ground zero. So for me, I was like, you know what? I don't want other people to start from ground zero. I want to kind of like help build this blueprint in the city in terms of what we're doing.
Okay, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, you know, I'm guessing the store, it's a lot more than just selling clothes. It's a movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going into it, you're just like, I just wanted to sell clothes. Like, I don't even get why you're doing all these other things, but the store has been phenomenal for the team and I to like be able to like work our strengths in different lanes other than just selling clothing.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
that's awesome. We're going to take a bit of a break.
Perfect.
But we will be right back.
Thank you.
From a tender age, I recognized that I was not the average girl. I was always opinionated, outspoken, and for the most part, unapologetic. I was born to lead, to inflict positive change, to serve. I was born a leader. Harnessing this internal drive led me to spearheading several businesses while unlocking potential within large organizations in director roles throughout the city. While on this quest, I discovered my love for people and passion for personal development. Throughout my career, I have mentored hundreds of individuals, both personally and professionally, channeling my belief of self-care and with an avid love for fitness. Daily, I nurture my mind, body, and soul, embracing the very act of self-love. I truly do believe that you cannot give what you don't have. With a commitment to living on purpose and within my purpose, my personal mantra is to leave better than I met.
Hello, and we are back with the Make Your Mark Talk Show. I am speaking with Jebril, and we're having some great conversation.
Yes.
So I wanted to get a little more insight on your experience as a Black man in Toronto, because we see a lot of, well, we don't see a lot of Black men in, positions of success and higher positions. And if we do see that, they're not really for the people under them. They're not really passing the baton. So I want to know, what your experience was coming up as a Black man, and now that you are here in your place of success, how that looks for you.
Yeah, good question. I would say the city, being a business owner downtown Toronto for the past 5 going on 6 years, I'd say it's very different. I feel like 5-6 years ago, being a Black man in a lot of different rooms, it's a little difficult. There's no one in the room that looks like you, not 10 out of 10 times. So it's sometimes a bit uncomfortable.
Right.
But I feel like in the last 5 to 6 years, Toronto's done a really good job of making the city more comfortable for minorities in workplaces. I feel like it's slowly changing. It hasn't changed completely, but I feel like they're adding more and more minorities
Just
to the mix.
a little something here, a little
Yeah.
something there, just to make sure that there's representation.
Yeah, but you gotta take what you can get, love what you can get, and then grow from there.
Right. So growing up, what kind of challenges did you face, or because sometimes you don't want to say, oh, he's being racist or blah blah blah, but what challenges did you notice?
I mean, I've gone through my fair share of racism, and my mother has as well. My mom was very open with me as a kid. She never treated me as an actual child. So I would know everything that was going on. But when I was in grade 6, my mom got a job in Hamilton, good job, better pay, better life. So we moved to Hamilton in grade 6, and I hated it. There was
because back in those days, I'm trying to think what Hamilton was, and
there was one Black person in my whole school.
And that was you, no?
No, I had a friend, LaTanya Campbell. We were the only Black people in the whole school. And by the time when I was in middle school, you would just feel it. Like in my class, you would always know, okay, cool, you're the Black guy in the room. Everyone's like, oh, you look like any famous Black person that they know. Someone told me I look like Whoopi Goldberg. You just hear
that kills me.
They just take the resemblance of the skin. Right. And then I remember one day someone pulled the fire alarm, and they called me to the principal's office. And there was no way in an all-white school I'm gonna pull the fire alarm. I know better. And the principal was in there all right, we're gonna suspend you, but it's gonna be an in-school suspension. I was like, I didn't pull the fire alarm. It's like, oh, well, a bunch of kids said you did. I didn't. What am I gonna do? So they took my desk from a classroom, and they put it in the main hallway of the school. So to switch to your next class, you'd have to pass this hallway.
Right.
So they put my desk right in this hallway, gave me a pen, gave me paper, and like, this is where you're gonna work from. They had me on 30-day in-school suspension. So every single day, you get all these kids just staring at me, pointing, laughing, calling me N-word, all these things, all that. It was like hell.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like the worst thing ever. I get in fights with the hockey team all the time. It was like a nightmare, but I never told my mom because at the time my sister was just born. She was born with a heart murmur. So there's already so much stress in my household. I was never trying to like add to that. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just deal with it. Until one day I dropped out of school literally and like would run home and erase all the voice messages so my mom wouldn't know. And then a couple weeks later, I just told her, like, I haven't been going to school. I can't go to school. I get in fights every single day. Every day they're calling me the N-word. Every day they're just, it's like literally, I just can't deal with it. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And then literally a week later, we packed up. She quit her job and we moved back to Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always had this like anger and like hate leaving that situation and, you know, growing up in that and having to deal with that. That was like a year and a half. Coming back to Toronto was obviously a breath of fresh air and it was good. But I always kind of just kept, not that like everybody was like that. Obviously there was a few people on there and they didn't even really know how to deal with me. I feel like back then it's like they took whatever was marketed to them or whatever was told to them and they were kind of just like, okay, this is how we need to treat this kid. We don't want this kid around any of these other kids polluting them or whatever. So I was just kind of like, I kind of like forgave that situation in my head. But other than that, I've always known that that can happen. And I've always known the higher up I've ever got in my career, I would see more and more little challenges. But I feel like it's gotten better. It's gotten better. Honestly,
Well,
like,
we hope so.
Yeah, it's work in progress.
Right.
I think it takes more positive minorities to do better in their community for the other side to be able to see and be like, okay, cool. They're not all like this. They're not all this way.
Right. You said something there about marketing, how we're marketed to society. Can you talk more on that?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, being black and like if you go on TV, if you're flicking through your channels 0 to 50 on cable, 9 times out of 10, the black people you're going to see are either going to be in entertainment or they're wanted for something, I would say. You know what I mean? Like you don't really see like a lot of positive messages about black people, or you're going to see a bunch of black kids in Africa with flies and can you help them? And like, yeah. So I feel like people watch that and see that every day and like see like, oh, this is how these people are.
Right.
That's like their knowledge. This is how these people are. So it kind of just already puts us in a box and people already have their thoughts on us. So
And because we're already in that box, they think, okay, I need to treat them like this because
correct.
they're
Not everyone,
here.
but some people, yeah.
And what about on your travels? Have you seen black men or black women in other positions and in better positions than what we are in here?
I mean, I love America just for the fact I can go there and see like executives that look like me on every level. On someone who owns the business, someone who has a high level position in that business, and seeing a group of black people together in a group that are they all have their eyes on the prize and they're all doing some really crazy corporate shit. They're like taking over. It's cool to see. It's motivating.
Yeah.
Something that I want to happen here. And it's happening here slowly.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And what about like mentorship? Did you have mentorship when you were in America with those, with the men on those levels? And do you have any here?
When I go to America, I have a lot of friends. So it's like a lot of our conversations have to do with business. Like that's just kind of like what our sport is. So yeah, I definitely get mentorship on that level, talk to people all the time. And they always, drop some gems, vice versa, I'll drop some gems for them. On this side, I don't have the luxury of having as many people to talk to that look like me. There's other people I talk to too, but people who look like me in powerful positions, there's not a lot. But me and all my friends, we're always talking, we're always dropping gems, we're always trying to educate each other.
And that's a beautiful thing because, and I notice a lot because of the generation that I'm in, there's a bit of a withholding of information. And when that information is withheld, it's hard for us to propel forward because we need to kind of know, we're born into this world and we need to know what the standard is. But even then, sometimes I feel like that standard is not it's not given to us. It's not, they don't give us the right knowledge for us to move forward. And because we don't have that knowledge, we can't move forward in the right ways. And that kind of comes down to, when people set up a structure here and then they take that structure away, then we have to try and build that structure again. And it just kind of pushes us back. So what are you doing to like build community with the store and with the company?
I'm gonna touch on one thing you said quick. I feel like our generation, the knowledge wasn't given to us, but this generation, there's no excuse. Everyone's got internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone has the internet. Like now, if you want to know something, you can literally just Google it. So I feel like for us, it was different. A lot of us have, people still do have immigrant parents, but a lot of us come from like immigrant families who have no idea how it works on this side. They're just like, go to school, get a job, work. We need to do that. But I feel like this generation, it's like, it's not really an excuse as much.
Because the resources are there.
The resources are there. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh yeah, it wasn't like they'll take that and use it as like a crutch, but no, you can literally just go on the internet,
right?
And figure. I do it all the time. And sorry, right. Your other question was your main question was
the mentoring and kind of passing the baton on. So how are you doing that in the store and with the company?
So with the company, our whole mentality is keep everything youthful. Keep everything true to us. So none of us at the store really came from like rich families or like we all come from like immigrant parents and like we're the first ones here to like put it down. So we try to keep that same idea when it comes to everything we're doing. Like we were luckily blessed with doing a collaboration with the Raptors and my team who they do everything, but who was doing the video for it, the commercial for it, we were coming up with this idea and like, okay, who do we get in this commercial? So we were like, we're gonna film it at the ACC on the basketball court. Who do we get to do it? We're like, oh, should we get models? Do we get this? Do we do that? We're like, nah, forget that. We're gonna go and figure out who are all the top kids in the high school. And we're gonna take them and put them in this Raptors Get Fresh commercial. So little things like that, like providing opportunities, whenever an opportunity comes about, looking to our community to be like, okay, let's grab someone from our community. Let's put them in a position of power. Let's give them some shine for all the hard work they're putting in, because there's not a lot of places for us to get that shine.
Right.
So that's something like that we do. I've went around and like grabbed the young kings in our community who do like parties, who do whatever things that we normally do. I've went around and kind of grabbed them and been like, look, this is what we're doing. I want you to be a part of this. If you're on the same page, let's work together. So I do whatever I can to help them on their business. Walk them in rooms that they normally wouldn't be walked into. So like, I brought one of my guys into Remy Martin, got him signed by Remy Martin since we're already sponsored by them. I was like, look, this is my guy, Matt. This is what he can do. I think we should bring a situation to him. It's happened. Now it's elevated his events as well. So I always try to just grab people and, whatever I've got, I'll let you have it. We'll work together and build from there.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So like using your platform to really serve the community coming up.
Definitely. It's important. Like, it's just like and you're just building a stronger team.
Okay. I want to go back. I'm just going to go back into the first segment with investing.
Yes.
The story of you going down to America, getting how many hats did you get?
5,000. 5,000
hats. And then coming here and not knowing if they're going to get sold.
I didn't even know if I'd get it across the border.
Wow. So
that was part 2 after.
So that's some real risk. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You spend X amount of dollars on something you didn't know you could even get across the border. What kind of because investing is such a great place to be in the investment market, but a lot of youth nowadays are afraid to get into that market because of the risk, and they don't know if they're going to get the right reward back. So what can you say about investing? Like, what are the ups, what are the downs? How does it work for you?
No risk, no reward. To start that off, if you don't take the risk, you'll never get the reward. It's just impossible. Investing, I only really, like, I've always invested into myself just because I never lived a life that that a job could afford when I was younger. I have a little sister that's like my daughter that I've been taking care of for the last 10 years. I have a lot of expenses. So in my head, I was like, the only way I'm gonna make enough money is to invest in products and sell them. You know what I mean? That was always my hustle. And then from there, I just started recently getting onto it. I was like, I need to get into stocks. When that whole Bitcoin craze and everything happened, I never caught on to Bitcoin, but it turned a green light on for me to be like, people are making money out here from stocks. I have no idea what a stock is. So from then I started researching. I went to my bank, asked questions. Every single night I'm on YouTube watching some like guy, the 50 best stocks and why you should do it, and watching all these things I just never would even think of before. And I just educated myself on it, and I just invested into it 2 years ago. And I'll say it's probably one of the best things I've ever done. And I literally come to work and force my team, all right, everybody open trading accounts. This is what we're gonna do. Look at these stocks. I've done the research, so I'm always like pushing that. But I definitely say like investing is number one. That's like what it's about. Like literally make money, whether you have a job, whether you hustle, you have a job and you hustle, whatever your thing is, I would take that money, put it in something to make more money, and then play with that profit.
Wow.
Do not play with the re-up. Your paycheck is a re-up. Do not sacrifice
He's
that.
giving us the game right now.
Do not sacrifice that. Like take that, flip that, and then play with the profit.
That's amazing.
Yes.
We're going to stop it right there.
No worries.
We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back. Hello, and we are back on the Make Your Mark Talk Show. My name is Vanessa, and we are here with Jebril Fresh Jalloh.
Correct. You did it good. Thank you.
I really wanted to get into the conversation of ownership and what that has done for you in your business and in the company.
Yes, definitely. Owning a business is great. Stressful. A lot of sleepless nights. But I feel like obviously owning a business is great. You get to provide other opportunities for more people, hire people, build an industry. But a lot of people are caught up and fixated with just like entrepreneurship and thinking like entrepreneurship's like the only way. You go on Instagram, everything is about be your own boss, own this.
Yeah.
Do you want to drive this Ferrari? You could be like me. Just like, I get it.
They're selling a lifestyle.
It's not all that amazing. You know what I mean? It's not. You think you have all this crazy freedom, you have all that. It's great if you want to do it and you're built for it. But I would say like, when you think of ownership, I don't only think about owning a business, I think about owning your position. So if you are a graphic designer, if you work at McDonald's and you're a customer service rep, own that. Be the best at that. Protect that. Guard it. Don't let anyone come and take your job at own anything you do. Whether you work out at the gym, own it. No matter what it is, own it. So that's what ownership means to me, not just like entrepreneurship. Because I feel like the whole world right now, it's like, the most
I'm an entrepreneur.
thing.
I work for myself. Yeah. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like, don't do it, but don't be pressured. Don't think, you have to be part of what the messaging that they're pushing right now.
Right.
Like, have that job,
Right.
Kill that job, be that number one executive, be the best in your realm of whatever you're doing, own it.
Right. So in some sense, it's kind of like just owning you.
Correct.
Owning yourself and making
Correct.
sure that you are taking the right steps to make yourself better.
Exactly.
For the future. Well, that's a good way to look at it, because a lot of the times, we see work for yourself, be your own boss, and I think it's more of a state of mind that people are searching for, but they kind of want, it's like you said, they want the material things, they want that to come with it. But what are some things that you have as being an owner that you that they don't sell you, you know, that they don't sell you on Instagram, that they don't sell you on social media? What are the things that you have to do that aren't sold as an entrepreneur?
Taxes. Taxes.
And it was just tax season, yeah.
Taxes. You know, employment taxes, just dealing with employees, dealing with accounting, dealing with like everything falls on you. No one really puts that. They put like all the good stuff that comes from it, but like they're not there with you. You're not on the camera at 4 a.m. in the morning when you're pulling your hair out like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. I did all this all month and this is what's that? Why is this missing? Why is this happening? Why, like, they're not putting like what it actually takes to get there. Everyone just makes it seem like it's like floating on a cloud. Well, I mean, that's hard to do, so not floating on a cloud, but you get what I'm saying.
Right. And that kind of brings me to when we were talking about that ad campaign that you had. Talk to us about that one. About, what was it? Dealers Don't Sleep, or
No Sleep for the Dealers. Yeah. So our collection names are like very like, we don't have like your like normal fashion style collection name. Everything is like kind of like a state of mind of where we're at. So No Sleep for the Dealers was our fall winter collection. And the whole vibe behind that was just pretty much like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting with my team at the store. And we'll be literally like, fuck, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, sorry. We'll be like,
we'll just leave it up.
There's no sleep for the dealers. Like, this is what we want to do. This is what we're trying to achieve. Like, we're trying to deal these clothes to the world and our dream out to the world. We got to do what we got to do. So I'm not saying don't sleep at all. It's more of just like whatever you're doing in your life, put your all forward towards that. You know what I mean? If you can go out till 3 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. to club, make sure you can stay up for 3 a.m. to do the work as well.
It's that balance.
Exactly.
You know? Okay. So I'm trying to see how I can phrase this question. I guess, you know, when it comes to you being an entrepreneur and you having to work as hard as you work, are you open with letting people know that this is what it is when, you know, with your employees and with people who work under you or people who you collaborate with or work alongside? Do you let them know the real?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you know what? In the beginning, no, I didn't. To be honest with you, I didn't. You know, it was very like, I kind of like tippy-toed around situations. I was super like passive. But then you realize you just can't afford that, you know? And I have like a really good team. We've built like a really strong relationship. We're friends as well. So it's like, if something's wrong, we keep like the lines open so we can communicate that. Okay,
awesome. I want to get into a time where you had to build the most resilience. So whether, you know, young, old, the time where you were at your lowest and you said, no, I need to come out of this and I need to make something of myself.
Okay, that was like 14 years ago. I was homeless. I was at the lowest state I've ever been in my life. I was literally couch surfing. Like, yo, what time did your mom wake up to go to work? Can I sleep on the couch till 3 a.m. and I'll leave before that? Like, literally, I remember one night I slept in my boy's garage and got out before his dad went to work. So there was a period of my life where I was at like the lowest. I was at the lowest point ever. Didn't have any money. I was literally 40 pounds lighter, not by choice. Just I used to be literally go to Rava and like steal my lunch and steal my dinner. Like, that's at the point I was at. And at that point I was just like, yo, I just can't live like this. My mom, the day my mom passed away, she worked overtime. My mom was on her way to get her doctor. She had me in between that period. She couldn't go finish school. She was a single parent, living by herself in London, going to Western. So it's like, I feel like my mom, she sacrificed her life, her hard work, made sure we were always good. So there's no way I could be sitting down, homeless, nothing to eat, not trying to figure it out. I need to step it up. Right. At that point, I just like, I went into this like super sane. I turned into a beast. My partner would love that. I was just like, yeah, I'm not like no sleep for the dealers. Like, I'm gonna make sure I change this. I'm gonna make sure every single thing that I wanted, everything that my mom wanted that she was ever able to attain in her time on this earth, I made sure that I was gonna get that. And I got that.
And to get that, what were some of the changes you had to make? Like you really, I'm sure at that point you really had to like dig deep into yourself.
I sacrificed like childhood. I sacrificed the regular things that like everyone was able to do, like going to the parties all the time, just hanging out all the time. I couldn't do that. I was working all the time. I'd wake up in the morning, first thing in the morning, and I'd work. After I'd finish one thing, I'd do another thing. After I'd done another thing, I would literally maybe have 2-3 hours where I'm like, all right, let me sit down and relax. And even when I'm trying to relax, I'm thinking about, okay, how am I gonna make more money tomorrow? And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So it just literally, I opened my box up. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna think like this anymore. There's no borders, there's no nothing. Like I moved to Mississauga, year of the gun in Toronto when everyone died. When all those people were dying, I got up, told my boy, I remember guys came to my neighborhood, shot up my whole neighborhood. And that day I told my boy, I'm like, yo, we're leaving. He's like, where are we going? We're moving to Mississauga. My boy's like, what? I'm like, yo, we're either, if we stay here, you already know, we're gonna either die or we're gonna go to jail. Like that's what that summer was. So in my head, I was like, I took all the money I have and literally searched for a basement apartment in Mississauga. So imagine this like 16-year-old kid knocking on your door to meet you to like rent out your basement. You're like, who is this kid?
Wow.
So I had to learn how to put myself together and be able to come across, tell this big story that my mom's in Africa and she's gonna send me money and like I'm a student and like you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to figure it out. And we figured it out, and we've been figuring it out since that day to now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that time, I'm guessing you kind of raised yourself.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
My mom gave me phenomenal tools. My mom was like, our relationship was like, it wasn't like a regular mother and son relationship. We were just like friends. We were homies. And I didn't realize that till I got older and see how everyone else interacts with their parents. But she always gave me the gems from young. She always kind of like, this is what you got to do. This is going to happen to you. So when this happens to you, make sure. Like, I'd be like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Right, because at that age, at the young age, you probably were like, why are you telling me all this?
Yeah, I want to go watch Martin Lawrence. Like, I don't want to like, you know what I mean? Like, but she just always, every morning, she was like that mom where she'd like hold my arms and like look me in the eyes and like, listen to me. If this happens to you, I'm like, oh God, it would be stressful. But as I got older, I was like, damn, my mom really was like, I get it. Like to this day, things will happen. And I'll remember like, from my mom told me like, this might happen to you one day.
Right.
We'll look out for this, watch out for that. So from there, I had to obviously take those skills and then just learn the hard way. Everything I've learned is the hard way. My whole life, I didn't go to school. I dropped out of high school in grade 10. And my whole life was school. I paid for school every single year with the mistakes that I made.
Wow.
Yeah, trust me. So, but I was, all those mistakes got me to where I'm at now.
Awesome. We're going to leave it there. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
It took a lot to get to this place, to feel comfortable, to wear my own hair. It took a lot of reflection and coaching and support from the team here and of course my family. I know my husband really was looking forward to this experience of me exposing my hair, but I was afraid. I won't lie, I was afraid. I didn't know how it would come out. I had been so used to wearing units that I couldn't imagine myself exposed with such a short cut, my jawline and everything just kind of out there. But all in all, I have to say, it was definitely a freeing experience and I'm so grateful for it. And I definitely would recommend it to anyone who has that self-doubt or that unsurety about exposing natural hair. I definitely would take that chance.
Hello, and we are back on the Make Your Mark Talk Show. We are here with Jebril. I just want to thank you in that last segment. You really shared with us some really important stuff, and going through the life that you went through, and some of it, it wasn't your choice. You just kind of had to gain this strength to continue moving forward. Thank you for sharing that because we really need that. So in kind of using that strength, it has, like the suit in Wakanda. What was it? The Black Panther suit where, they take the energy it takes the energy that it throws at them, and he's able to dispel that and put that energy out into the world. That's what you did. So you are like the Black Panther.
Thank you.
So yeah, tell us about how, you built all that resilience and you created something amazing for yourself. So tell us how that resilience, the journey of that.
Yes. So the journey of turning that into Get Fresh Company is taking that resilience. It definitely helped in the beginning. It helps the whole way through. I applied the same mentality, just like the no sleep for the dealers, and I just always try to remember where I came from. So when we had the store, started it, I had no employees. It was just myself. I would work all day. I would do inventory. I'd clean. When I'm done all that, I gotta go. I would do accounting. I would do everything.
Wow.
While my boys are going to the club, they're going here, they're going there. I'm just like, oh my God, like I wish, like I could, but then who's gonna do this?
Right.
And then that hustle, like the hunger, like, I'm nowhere near where I want to be for myself, for the business, and for my team, and what I see for us. I feel like there's a really bright future. So I just try to remember that every single day of where I come from.
Mm-hmm. And it's that self-reliance that you've built.
Yeah.
That's very important. So how has that gone into building this for yourself?
Yeah, it's been good. It's important. Like self-reliance is everything. I think the one thing is, like, as you start to do better and as you start to, like, get out of your old situation and start getting into this better situation, when you go broke for so long, when you haven't had things to eat, when you're like running from your landlord and trying to, like, trying to figure shit out, and you finally figure it out, I think that's when it's the most important. Everyone feels like, oh, you just work hard, and you got this. Oh my God, I got this. Like, we're good.
Right.
That's the beginning.
Right.
That is the beginning. Like, that is the, like, now you just entered the race, or
Right.
you entered the league to get to the race. That's it. You just got in the door.
Right.
Now you got to maintain
because
it.
you were working so hard to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
And now that you're at that level, you think, oh, now I can sit back and relax.
Yeah.
I've worked so hard to do this, and now I'm good.
Yeah.
But when you get to that spot, are you kind of saying, you're kind of throwing it out into the wind at that point? So when you say, okay, I'm good at this level, who's gonna make it better? Is that all that you wanted?
Yeah. And then you just got to maintain, right? Everything in life, like, whether, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be like anything. I want to get into this school. Oh my God, I got into this school. Okay, cool. Now that's number one. Some people that you get into school, okay, I'm in this school, I'm good. Now you got to even work harder than you had to work to actually get into the school. So with Get Fresh, it was work, bust my ass. Okay, we got in. Okay, how do we make this thing actually pop now? So that's where all that resilience and all that. Now I had to put, new energy into everything and be able to get it to this point.
Okay, so explain that new energy, because you have something here, but how do you continue your love with it? How do you still fall in love with it every day?
I feel like your team. Your team, and being able to have, like, amazing people with, like, phenomenal ideas, and always, like, I have a lot of really amazing creatives around me, so they always bring new ideas up on ways, like, something you developed, and they're bringing something to the table, like, yo, this is what you developed. I want to do this for what you developed and make it even crazier and even cooler. So I feel like having a really good team around you definitely helps you still love everything that you've got going on, and just, like, the reaction from the people. Like someone, like, seeing someone on the street and someone be like, yo, you know how long I've had this t-shirt? This is the best t-shirt I own. I've had this for 4 years. This is crazy. Like, you love that. And then you get the kids who come up to you and they're like, yo, honor meeting you, love what you do. You're motivating, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I do this, and, I watch you, I follow you do this, and, like, you make it seem like it's possible. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Wow.
That keeps you loving the business. Even on the hardest days, like, we'll have the worst day. Everything will go wrong. And at Get Fresh Company, I don't know what it is, but one thing, when it rains, it pours. I don't know what it is, but, like, through all that, at the end of the day, something beautiful will happen. And we'll all just look at each other and be like, yeah, like this is why we're here. Like,
Yeah,
let's
because
not
always
lose
out of the
focus.
storm comes the rainbow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And kind of talk to us about how you stay with the innovative ideas, because you are sponsored by
Remy Martin.
Right.
The
And not a lot of
amazing
people,
Remy
yeah, not a lot of people think, oh, let me get sponsored by a liquor company. So how did that all come about?
So I'd say for anything that we've ever attained, I feel like when I was younger, I've heard about it, or I've watched shows and I've seen like athletes get sponsored, people get sponsored, and in my head, I've like always had this checklist of different ways and different streams to like create opportunity. So whenever I got the store, I was like, okay, how do we figure out how to get sponsored? We're gonna do events in here. And it wasn't like that was the end goal, but like one day I wanted to be able to do that bucket list. So we started doing events in the store, and I'd say they were amazing in the beginning. The reason why we would do that is to bring everybody in to shop, because back then we didn't have anyone really coming in the store. So we did that, and we did about 4 or 5 of them, and then a gentleman named Christopher Powlin, amazing guy, love him. We actually had a barbershop in the store.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day. We had a barbershop back in the store back in the day. He was in there getting cut, and we were talking about drinking, and then he started talking about cognac. And then I remember I had a bottle of Douce. Jay-Z just came out with this cognac. I flew to New York to get it. And he was talking about it so much, and he was so passionate about it. I'm like, yo, you know what? You never tried this liquor before? He's like, nah. I'm like, all right, cool. I went to my house. I lived across the street, and I brought the bottle back, and I gave it to him. And I was like, hold that. Like, that's for you. Enjoy that. Tell me what it tastes like, because I didn't even taste it yet. But he was so passionate about it. I was like, you know what? Here's this guy, came to my store. We're having this conversation. Take it. 2 weeks later, we were doing an event. He comes back with just cases. Dom Perignon, Veuve Clicquot, Hennessy XO, all this stuff, and just comes in and brings it down. We're all like,
What?
bro, where'd you get this from? He's like, gives my card. He goes, oh, actually, I work for this company that represents LVMH. I'm like, wow. So he kind of he laid out that opportunity for us. So we started working with Hennessy, like LVMH at first. So every event that we did, everyone knew we'd put sponsored by Hennessy on our flyer, which was like, for me, it was major. I'm from where we used to buy the Hennessy bottles and drink them in the stairwells when we were younger. Like, you know what I mean? So for now, all that money we spent on Hennessy back in the day, now they're giving it to us and working with us. It was amazing. So we started through that. And then Chris Powling upgraded in life, went to Remy Martin, and he was in a real position of power. And he was like, you know what, put together a 12-month deck for me of what you guys want to do. Never done a deck in our lives, but we made it work. Put it together, sent it to him. He greenlit, I'd say 90% of the events and things we wanted to do, and put us in a situation to have our events on a bigger level, on a bigger platform.
Wow. And that all came from you being kind.
That was literally just a conversation about something we were both passionate about.
Right. And that shows the real value of just building relationships.
Definitely.
Just being a good person to someone.
Definitely.
It can give you more than money can buy, because
1000%.
that was your livelihood for a whole year.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They sponsored, X amount of events, and you were able to grow as your company.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
He put us in a lot of power positions, and from there we were able to take all the things that we've done with Remy Martin and been able to get sponsors through other people as well. So it built a big platform for us. We're more than just a clothing store. A lot of people will see us and be like, oh, you guys are a clothing line, like a clothing store, that's cool. I'm like, no, we actually make 90% of the clothes in our store. It's not just graphic t-shirts, which is fine, but we have actual cut and sew in there. We're making things in Canada. We're flying overseas, getting things done. We work with Anders in our team, NST, it's a music label. We have that, like guys on my team, they do all the graphics for all that. We're in so many different lanes. We do a lot of things. We've done pop-up shops in other countries. Like, we do a lot of things.
Right.
It's almost like a clothing store, a clothing line, and we've got like an agency side of the business as well.
Wow. So it was like I said before, it's more than just a clothing store. It's like it's a
1000%.
movement.
You realize, like, your skills and your strengths when you're doing things, right? Like you do what you do. Now you're like, okay, cool. I'm really good at interviewing. I'm really good at speaking. Not only can I interview, I can also help people. Maybe you can train people how to speak or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you always find other things. You find your strengths. I'm like, okay, let's also pimp these things too. Let's make money off of these things too as well.
It's that plateau. So once you find that place of, you know, comfort, we can say, finally, I'm good at this. I have this. I know I can do this well. What else can I do? How can I use these skills to make trees, to make branches?
Need different pots. It's the only way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I just want to thank you so much for being here with us again today.
Thank you.
You really dropped some gems. You really gave us a lot of knowledge in order for us to move forward. So we thank you. Let us know where we can find you.
The website for the store is gfctoronto.com. Instagram is @GetFreshCompany. My personal Instagram is JBR Jalloh, Jalloh. And I'm at 498 Queen Street West in Toronto. Come see us.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Jebril. Thank you guys for watching again. Remember to follow us on Instagram at makeyourmark.ca and log on weekly for new updates, www.makeyourmark.ca. Thanks again for joining us, and I will see you next week.